Hello, this is Zwift number 15. This is the Zwift Crit Racing Club event on Tuesday night at 22.8. This race is set up by Zwift Racing. This route tonight is around the Volcano Circuit CCW. I've been looking for a little bit of time to try and work out what CCW is, and I think I've worked it out that it is counterclockwise. And it's 17.2 kilometre route, 91 metres of climbing, and 3 laps around the volcano. Each lap's around 4, so 4 laps. So there's also around about a 4-lap ride in as well, lead in. So you join me right at the start, and I've not got off to a great start because I was too busy texting and messaging. So you can see I'm a little bit behind. I've not reached my normal level of watts off the start line, and I'm a good 10-15 bike lengths behind everybody else. And despite the fact that I don't get off to a good start, I still think that the best strategy moving forward is to carry on sending more messages. So you can see that about 10-15 seconds ago I went into the setup and I was trying to change different things. Now I'm texting again, telling everyone that I'm going to be creating a video afterwards, and at this point it does settle down and I'm happy here. I'm in a group of around 25 and I'm happy with that, and I think that it's all just going to be nice and chilled, and I'm thinking, well, this is quite sedate. I'm in a category that has a race score that goes up to 350. My current race score is 303. So there's still lots of people who are better riders than me, but it's always a good workout and it's always a good effort. Like I said, it's a Tuesday night, a couple of days in work after the weekend. Checking to see really if I've recovered from the works due. If you watched my video number 14, that was all about racing just after my works due on the Sunday, and I could see that my power was eventually down. Anyway, I'm still messaging and not concentrating properly. Well, I think I'm not concentrating properly. I am putting in plenty of effort, but you can see massively now how the group stretches out. My average watts is 270 and we're 2 minutes into the race, so I'd have to compare that to other rides, but I think that is a really high average wattage for the first 2 minutes of a race. But you know, it's at this point that I've realised that actually I've been gapped and I need to start putting some effort in, but it's going to be a hard slog from here. So I'll pan forward now and speed up the film a little bit. You can see that the gap to the group in front is around 6 seconds. And I'm riding with a group of about half a dozen riders, and I'm just trying desperately to catch up with the others. Sometimes when you're riding, these gaps do come together. You'll always need somebody to push out in front, so I was hoping that you can see the leader in the light blue of this group started pushing ahead, and if we'd all been able to draft off him, we could have bridged the gap, but the gap just carries on going out and out and out. So I still felt all right, you know, it wasn't as powerful as it has been on some rides, but certainly more powerful than the weekend. I'm riding a little bit later tonight because I've been out and had a fit in for a golf club, which is the first time I've ever done that, which stopped me from riding with a normal group that I've been riding with recently. I used to ride a lot with Matt King and his T2.5 group, and they've just started setting up their trundles on a Tuesday night again, which if anybody's interested in joining, that's, you know, a worthwhile group to ride along with. So moving forward, here's the lead group. There's around 20 of them, and the gap you can see is up to 9 seconds, and you know, they're powering off ahead now, and it's just, I can't imagine it's going to come back from this point. You know, sometimes I've ridden before and you have a gap of around 4 or 5 seconds, and I've seen that being brought back together, but not a lead of 9 seconds coming back together. The other thing I didn't mention about the weekend's riding, as well as having a reasonable amount to drink, which was in no more in quantity than some of the other Friday nights that I would have, but slippery nipples are the way forward in regards to cocktail drinks, in case you were wondering what I meant. I'm not sure what everybody else's thoughts on a slippery nipple, but Sambuca and Bailey's is a slippery nipple, and they're very smooth. But anyway, back to the riding. We are almost at the start finish line, so we will have 3 laps to go. You'll be able to see that whilst riding in this group here of around about 8 of us on this incline, I can power up a little bit and push and forge ahead. It's only a short burst, so I can manage those short bursts. It's anything longer, say 30 seconds, that I really struggle with. So where it's about 20 seconds, I'm okay, I can power up. I do suffer when I get to the top, but that's the way I like to ride it. I push up hard, get to the top, and then I ease off and the group comes back together, and then I take advantage of the draft from the group as they come back past me. My concern, if I did it in a different way, would be that if I took it too easy, then that would be a place to be bridged, and for that gap, I wouldn't be able to close that gap back up. But I'm out in front. It's only a second, but I'm just easing off a little bit. You can see my watts are below my average at the moment, and everyone will come back past me in a bit, and that will help everything. So here we are over the start finish line. You can see on the right hand side on the lap counter 3 laps to go. Each lap's around 4k, and I'm currently positioned 21st. That big group of 20 are just pushing further and further ahead, and I'm going to sit with this group of around about 8. And I'm thinking here now, right, in 20 seconds, sometimes people will drop out. Let's see if I can finish top 20, we'll see how that pans out as the race goes on. I'm probably going to jump a chunk out of the race now because nothing much happens, although I was reasonably happy with how things progressed. So just fast forward a couple of minutes, and you can see that on the right hand side there's 2 riders, Styles and Davis, who are only 7 seconds ahead of us, and they've dropped off the front group and they've just been distanced, and they've got no drafting effect. So our group of about 8 riders are going to push hard and try and work up past them. They might try and catch on to us, and they may try and stay with the group, which is fine because that will help us. If we've got a bigger group, then the drafting effect will be better for us. So more than happy for them to try and join on to our group and see how things move and progress from there. But you can see that the main group ahead are 30 seconds ahead now, and it's just getting further and further. So here we are, just jump forward a few minutes, just at the bottom of the incline, where I will power up and move ahead of some people, hopefully. We've got a group of 4, I think it was, 4 people who had been bridged from the lead group, so another group coming back towards us. They're currently 19 seconds ahead of us, Chesters and Nanavecchio and Parto, the Welsh person who I referred to at the start because I could see that there was a Welsh colleague in the race, and potentially I wasn't going to finish as the top Welsh person, which is always a challenge for myself. They're 19 seconds ahead. Who's the other one that I haven't mentioned in that group? Chester. So hoping to catch them. It's a big lead though, but they, hopefully they will start to ease off, and potentially they've just gone off too hard at the start, and they've not been able to maintain that heavy effort all the way through the ride. So fast forward to the group ahead, they're 15 seconds ahead of us, that group of Chesters and the Welshman and the Italian. Here's the lead group at the front, Fuller in a group of around about 15, and I started following our Willis just around the corners, just so that, you know, I could keep an eye on, see what they were doing. But the group's just getting further and further away from everybody else, and the winner's going to come in from that group of 15. So back to us, here we are. I think we're a group of around 10, but we're not making much of inroads now into the group ahead, that group of 4 ahead. But people must be dropping out, because I'm now 18th at the front of this group, and before I was 20th or 21st. So yeah, let's see what happens towards the end. But I'm working all right. The average is 242. That's, like I said, around 2.6, 2.7 watts, maybe 2.7 watts. And that's, you know, that's a good effort from me. So again, fast forward another couple of minutes and we're on the downhill section of the loop, and Demkovic, the Polish rider who I mentioned before, he's pushing hard again down the downhill. Group slightly stretched out. You can see that there's a 1 second gap between ourselves and a few of the riders behind us along this flat section at the bottom before the incline, and some people start coming past us, which is fine because we can always use their draft. You never want to be out in the front because you'll use higher levels of energy by being out in front. So being in around 3rd or 4th in a group is always nice, I feel. But we'll go up the incline in a bit. I'll fast forward it as we go up the incline. I'd expect to see myself push again before we start the final lap. So here is that incline. Demkovic is close behind me. The gap has actually come down now to half a dozen seconds with that group, and with me always pushing hard up the hill. You can see from being 6 seconds just a few seconds ago, it's down to 3 now, and they're within touching distance, which is pleasing. But again, this is the point where I ease off usually and allow others to come past me. So, but hopefully we can bridge that gap and become a bigger group, and again have that drafting effect. So that gap's still being maintained. I would have thought that we would have pulled it back by now, but they pushed hard and we couldn't catch them. And although some of the people in the group swapped places, it was hard to catch some of them. And but it does come very, very close together here, and you can see that by putting an extra effort in at this point would allow that gap to come back together again. So we are within the last 1.9 kilometres of the race, and our group are still following this lead group of around about a dozen riders, and then there's just one rider who's been distanced from the lead group, Jay Fuller from Great Britain. He's distanced himself by 32 seconds, so he's going to have a lonely last 2 kilometres to the finish line. Not sure what sort of effort he's putting in, whether he's peaked or whether he's just going to take it a little bit easier. So what I'm trying to do now with 1.5 kilometres to go is potentially try and film myself in my group going up the hill, because that's where I'm going to put my push in to try and lose the rest of the group, because that's my only strategy, to lose these other riders in my group, but also try and potentially film the leaders as they go over the finish line. So they've reached the top of the incline, they've split, they've spread out, whereas we're still going along the flat, powering up towards the start of the incline. So potentially they're going to cross the finish line as we are going to go up the incline. So I'm going to be jumping backwards and forwards. But You can see they're getting close to the end here. B-Muck Bikeface, he's leading it out. He's followed by, is it Miaja? In second place, and then Chase is coming up in third behind that. And you can see that eventually, yes, just a quick snippet there of him crossing the finish line. But I wanted to jump back to myself because it's my video and I wanted to show my race. I'm pushing hard up the hill. I'm trying to fight Chase Demokovic, the Polish rider who I've mentioned a few times. Chester's also there, so I'm pushing hard up and over the top. I want to try and get in their draft and hopefully let them pull me along towards the end. There's only 0.5 of a kilometre to go. That's not a time to be sprinting, but this is my effort that I have to put in at this point, getting it up to around about 300 watts and hopefully trying to leave the riders behind me. But this is where they will now come into a distance where they will be sprinting. So despite the fact that I've gone past them at 300 watts, I would expect that if they've been able to catch my tail, that they will start to come past. And I was looking very closely at the clock and looking at how many riders were in the same time as me, which is Jay Fuller and Demokovic, and eventually one of them does go past me, a heel I think it is, and Demokovic goes past me as well. But all in all, I finished that really well, and I averaged 2.7 watts, which again is a good strong effort. I know it's not a huge long ride, so you know that should bring my watts per kilogram up. If it was a longer ride, I would expect to do a less watts per kilogram, but it was a good ride. I worked hard. It's a shame that I've never ever been in a position so far on any of these videos to finish the race with the lead group. I'm always getting dropped, but that's what I'm aiming for. My race score went up only slightly to 305 from 303, but I'll continue to keep working hard and trying to get the effort up and see. My next goal, like I said, is to try and finish with the lead group and see if I can move it forward in that way. Alright then, thanks for watching. Take care, I'll see you all soon.